Welcome in, first ever video edition of Frang and Mack.
First of many, possibly.
Yeah, well, we could do a lot here. This is not the way I wanted this to go, but Patriots drop 135-28 tonight to the Philadelphia Eagles in one that I think has left all Patriots fans in a state of shock. Maybe the shock has kind of faded, and now it's more towards just like, did that really happen? Did we really just like, did we just come out asleep for like the first 50 minutes of the game against a terrible football team? I wasn't impressed with what the Eagles did. Like, I didn't think they played that well. It's just the Patriots did everything in their power to beat themselves. Tom Brady had one of his worst game of the season. The special teams had their worst game in the recent memory. The special teams is number one ranked in the league, and they were atrocious today. They're one of the biggest reasons why they lost. Just the most unpatriot-like game you can think of today, really, is just a terrible performance all around. I mean, they gave a valiant effort in the last couple of minutes, but I mean, if you're going to drop passes like that, Brendan LaFell, Amendola, you don't deserve to win the game. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I think this coming in was definitely a winnable game. But they come in and they let 21 points up for special teams and defense with the 100-yard pick six Tom Brady throws in the red zone. Another interception in the red zone this year for Brady. Eagles blocked the punt right before the end of the first half. It was just these special teams mistakes that, the onside kick, when we're up 14-0, just, I'm more of a conservative type play call. I don't like that. I mean, I get it if it works. It's kind of the risk reward. You're up 14-0. But what happens? They recover it and they start on beautiful field position. And going back to your point on Brandon LaFell, man, we all had front row seats to Brandon LaFell's magic show, man, because he can disappear. With all these guys going down to injury, and Brandon LaFell, who's been in the system, he's a veteran wide receiver.
70
And
catches
yeah,
last year.
I get it. This is a guy that struggled with drops his entire career, and even in college at LSU. But he's the guy that has to step up, and he finishes with what, 4 catches. What's he have? He had 4 catches for 27 yards. Tom Brady had a 36-yard reception on the trick play, which, because you're losing big and you give up a 14-point lead, you have to. Josh McDaniels is forced to call these trick plays that you kind of want to save for the not a regular season game that really doesn't matter. But I guess it kind of does, because the
It does.
Patriots dropped from the first seed to the third seed because of Cincinnati and Denver's win today. So I guess this game was a winnable game. And the Chip Kelly led Eagles, who everyone was talking about his job being on the hot seat, come in and really catch the Patriots off guard, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it to the credit to the Eagles. You come into Foxborough, you win. That's something nobody does. But I wasn't impressed with what they did. The Patriots literally just beat themselves this whole game. That was a horrible throw by Tom Brady, forcing a double coverage. You could tell all game he was forcing stuff. It was
Both
going to
of
come
his
back to bite him.
interceptions were terrible throws. I mean,
Yeah,
the first one with Amendola in the red zone, he's thrown into double coverage. Amendola's, he looks like the defender there because he has no chance of making the play, and
Mhm.
that's 100 yards down the other side of the field for a touchdown on the Eagles. And I don't like the Josh McDaniels calls. If that's maybe it's I blame Josh McDaniels, but maybe it's Brady's read where he thinks he needs to throw it up for the Eli Manning special and hope for the flag, because Brandon LaFell has been dropping balls, and you throw it into double coverage, and Thurman, the safety there, he won a Super Bowl with Seattle. So I mean, their defense is not as bad as everyone thinks, although they just let up back-to-back weeks with 45 points and 5 touchdowns each. But their defense played great. I mean, we killed them in time of possession, 10 more minutes, nearly 10 more minutes of time of possession. They weren't on the field. Their offense really didn't have to do anything. Like we were talking off air a few minutes ago, total yards, and this is huge. The Patriots had 427 yards total offense. Philadelphia had 248, and it was even. It was a 120 passing, 128 rushing. They didn't need to score on offense, and as a result, that kind of special teams, gap that they kind of created with the special teams game just kind of was the difference in the game.
Yeah, I agree. That's just, and when you talk about special teams, that's something the Patriots or they're the number one ranked special teams unit in the league. They always
led
are
by
year
Matt
after year.
Slater,
Yeah.
a Pro Bowler, and he earns his contracts just by playing special teams.
Not only that, but guys like Brandon King, Brandon Bolden, Nate Ebner,
Nate
Darius
Ebner,
Fleming. Yeah,
and
these guys all come in and they play only special teams, and they're great at it. Today was just extremely uncharacteristic. They essentially lost them the game, or one of the key reasons why they lost this game that was completely winnable. A game they should have won. A game I think they still, on statistics, they outplay the Eagles. It's just these huge plays that they're giving up throughout the game. We did talk about the block punt, the 99-yard touchdown reception, the punt return, which is something like 10 missed tackles on that play by key tacklers. Devin McCourty is just, I just couldn't fathom that. Like, I was watching this. That's not accustomed to watching the Patriots play that bad at Gillette Stadium after Thanksgiving, which is the time of year where they're supposed to be cranking it up.
Brady he's tied for the best winning percentage in December with Russell Wilson of all quarterbacks, but he's small sample size. But that's not the point. The point is this is a game looking, forward in the long run, long term. This is a game that could potentially cost home field advantage based on the tiebreakers, losing to Denver. So they get the edge on that. I'm not sure how Cincinnati gets that tiebreaker to head into first, but looking long term, and we were talking, during the game, Rob Gronkowski, is his dad going to sign his permission slip to play? But you know what? We got to keep him out because that's more long term. But now with a loss like this, we kind of don't control our own destiny anymore. And when have the last time the Patriots had a 2-game losing streak? It's been like 2012. We Patriots fans are so spoiled that now, long term might mean, okay, now we got to come out against Houston, which was slated for a 4:25 game, has now been shifted to 8:30 Sunday night primetime football. So that will be an interesting game, especially because the offensive line has looked terrible. And again, another point we were talking, it's one drop back. Brady doesn't even have time to survey the field because they're already untouched in the backfield. A couple plays later, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal blocking by the offensive line, and Brady just can't find anyone because the secondary. And I don't know if you say the offensive line just finally steps up in that spot, or the big guys on the D-line are kind of have their hands on their hips and they're gassed, and the offensive line can capitalize on that. So they're going to have trouble next week against J.J. Watt, and they should be able to handle a Houston Texans team who's right now still tied for first place in the AFC South. Houston's on, Indianapolis is on right now. They're losing 6-3.
Houston lost today too.
Yep, and I expect that the Steelers should be able to handle a second-string Matt Hasselbeck Indianapolis team. So that division's still up for grabs. So next week, looking forward, the Patriots should be able to handle that game.
Yeah, and not only that, but we talk about they don't lose 2 in a row, let alone 3 in a row. I think you have to go back to 2000 to when that happened, probably. And you can imagine the sky. I haven't watched any Boston media really since this game ended, but you can imagine tomorrow morning when you tune on the radio that the sky will be falling in Patriots Nation. It's going to be Kansas City circa last year, 42-14, all over again.
Although, I always say, because I saw, Fox did a shot of all the Patriots fans leaving, all the fake fans, and I said, you know what? It's never over until the clock hits triple zeros, but at one point in that game, I don't call it packing in, like I think you described it. Jimmy Garoppolo probably should have got some snaps, because this is more of like, all right, the game's getting a little out of hand. We don't need another injury because we're already plagued with so many. That's how it felt to me. It's not that pack it in. And I know we were saying the yardage, there's a big discrepancy, but a lot of that was, the last 7 or 8 minutes where, okay, the Patriots force a turnover the luck was momentum is the biggest killer in any sport. And you showed it at the end how the Patriots got a lucky bounce and, recovered a football when they had no business fumbling. So, and DeMarco Murray, the big offseason acquisition of Chip Kelly, he's not even getting used, and that's because they're using him wrong in the pistol and the shotgun, and he's not used to that kind of control. He only got 8 carries for 24 yards, but Darren Sproles, this just shows you how many running backs they have with Ryan Matthews, albeit he was out today with the 3rd straight game with a concussion. But they can do some things running the ball. Darren Sproles he's a tough guy to tackle.
Yeah, for sure, and that's the thing. For the second week in a row, the Patriots got gashed in the running game off the edge, which that's where they're always so successful. That's what Bill Belichick preaches. You got to set the edge, and I'm going to have to call Rob Ninkovich again for
And
he had
Ninkovich was in that last play too.
Yeah.
The third down conversion that
Mm-hmm.
essentially clinched sealed the game because
I'm going to give that was you got to give credit to Jason Peters on that one. That was
he did. He chipped him. It was just enough to get him off, but man, it was so close. Like I said, momentum can swing. Patriots are up 14-0. All of a sudden, the Eagles were tied at halftime in a game that felt like it should be 21-7.
Mm-hmm.
And what they scored 31. Was it
35?
35 unanswered points. Like that's unbelievable to me. When has that ever happened in the Bill Belichick Brady era?
At home in December.
The state's leading newspaper, the Boston Globe, their headline on the sports section was Brady and Belichick, they're responsible for the loss. And I think that's totally fair to say.
Yeah, I think obviously the headlines are going to point to the most important two people on the team, but I mean, I think it's a 1 through 53 type game. I can't really call anybody that really played essentially well. I think the whole
special teams is that was to me the biggest question mark. Starting with the block punt and even Brady's pick six for 100 yards back the other way. These little things that you're not used to seeing, and you described it great. You said as we were talking during the game, it's the most Patriot-like game you've ever seen. And it felt like that, although I'm sure, looking in hindsight, when they only lost by 7, the comeback, it wasn't their worst loss in the era because, they did kind of make it look pretty at the end and only lose by 7, even though, the comeback fell short.
You could say it was the third quarter was the worst quarter they've ever played under Bill Belichick.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was horrendous. It was Cleveland Browns-esque. Just thing after bad thing after bad quarterback play.
Yeah, 14 points allowed in the third quarter alone for a top 5 caliber defense in terms of scoring, all around defense. But James White had a great game. You said it's hard to kind of nitpick and see where someone did well or not. But James White, 10 catches, 115 yards on 13 targets. That's efficient. He had that touchdown grab. But he only had 2 carries for 4 yards rushing the ball. So I think it's safe to assume that LeGarrette Blount's going to get most of the carries in the backfield. And Brandon Bolden looks like he must be he's going to be limited to just special teams and maybe third down that third down type of role. He rushed the ball 3 times for 22 yards, but it still seems like LeGarrette Blount's the guy. And he is a downhill runner, but this is a game I feel like we should have had a 100-yard rusher, and from start to finish, just a terrible loss for the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, really, when you talk about it, I mean, James White, I guess you could say, have a good game in desperation time. It was good to see that they were actually using him for once, but overall, you get the ball back. Jamie Collins makes a great strip, and you get some life, and you're thinking, oh, wow, the Patriots played this bad.
And welcome back, Collins. That was a great play to have.
I agree.
And even the loss of Hightower is still out. His first game missed, with the knee injury. So that shows that kind of hurt a little bit. And we could only get to Sam Bradford one time, the Gerard Mayo sack. It was credited as a sack. But I don't think the defense played badly. It was just more of that the special teams and defense, and for the Eagles kind of they won the game. If there was one team, one side of the ball, some teams put up 50 and they win, the offense control the game. The Eagles did a great job on special teams and defense. I'm not going to credit Chip Kelly with a scheme or a game plan. It's just one of those days where nothing can go right for a team that usually winds up winning a game or on the right side of the scoreboard.
I agree, and it was, like I said, very uncharacteristic. I mean, the offense put up 28 points, but I don't think anybody
mostly in garbage time. I mean, 14 at half and flat for the rest of the last 7 minutes.
The way the offense plays is just so desperate in trying to get these. It's not calculated like you're used to. It's not surgical like when you have Gronk and you have Edelman, you have Amendola out there cooking, and the offense is just boom, boom, boom. They just chop you to pieces. Now it's drop back. Brady rolls around. He has to chuck it up.
Brady hope they catch it 56 times. I'm telling you, this team is not going to win a Super Bowl if they cannot establish a run. Last year, they threw the ball over 50 times in the Super Bowl. Well, that's okay. because you got to the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
What worked during the regular season and playoffs worked. The recipe to success this year means that Brady has to throw the ball more than 50 times, and that's not going to be great in the playoffs when you can't establish a running game because you haven't been able to all year, and they're only averaging 87 yards. I heard it during the broadcast. They've been saying it all year. It's the worst since 2002, I want to say, which I want to say that might have been pre-Corey Dillon era, but that was this is not a team that's just struggling. Dion Lewis injury. I thought we'd be okay because I thought James White or Brandon Bolden would step up, but for sure that Dion Lewis injury from Week 9 is still kind of showing flaws in this New England run offense.
Yeah, I think the injuries in general are just coming back to bite. I mean, you always say next man up, next man up. This is a game, regardless of the injuries, they still should have won. But I mean, the offense is, I think, 3 weeks in a row now. Even going back to that
It's
Giants
sputtering.
game,
It's sputtering. I think it's trying to. It's mediocre at best, and Brady's working with what he's got.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I mean, Gronk, you got to get out there, buddy. I mean, I said at first that they need to hold him out because I thought the offense would be able to manage without him. But I mean, you got a sprained knee. Dante
I'd be
Hightower
okay keeping him out another week.
No, I
Same
wouldn't.
thing with Hightower.
No,
I'm fine with that because
this is.
if
I
Gronk
mean,
comes
I'm
back,
pushing.
he's going to have to block next week because they're going to have to double team J.J. Watt because at this point, they're struggling on regular defensive ends that they shouldn't be. I mean, the linebackers are getting untouched in the backfield. Brady is getting pounded when he drops back, and that can't happen. Not for a guy that thinks he's going to play another 8 to 10 years. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, but when it comes to, I might be pushing the panic button a little bit here, but could you say next week's almost a must win? Because if you lose next week, you can basically kiss the first round bye goodbye. And I'm sorry, but I can't see them going on the road twice in the playoffs and winning, even when you have
at this point. Yeah, I totally agree. It's just that mindset of controlling your own destiny. And now Cincinnati has that power. They control their own destiny. They are the ones that if they stink one week, they're the ones that are hurting themselves. And that offense is on fire, led by the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. So I really don't see them slipping up. I mean, Denver, I still think Brock Osweiler's got to have some kind of mistakes coming his way. I mean, they won again today, and it's kind of hard when you have such a great defense to come out flat. I think the best thing as Patriots fans to hope that Denver decides to put Peyton Manning under center again.
It's not going to happen.
When I know it's not. I don't think he'll play under the snap in the NFL. But if Peyton Manning is under center in Denver in this cold weather with the snow and Mile High and wherever else they have to play, that is the best case scenario for the Patriots because that one seed is looking further and further. Cincinnati is a team that really should scare Patriots fans, but because the lack of success in the postseason, Andy Dalton, no postseason wins, Marvin Lewis, no postseason wins. That team scares me a little bit.
Yeah, especially when you talk about the Patriots having to go on the road. I mean, I could see them going to Cincinnati and winning if you have Gronk, you have Edelman, you have Amendola, fine. But 2 wins in a row, 3 playoffs, and especially you don't get the bye, you don't get that extra week of rest. Let's remember the Patriots bye week was
coming back. He's a guy that is coming back from that Jones fracture in his foot. And Dez Bryant, we've kind of made the case Dez Bryant had that injury, and he came back early and he's balling. He looks fine. But the problem is they're 2 different types of receivers. Edelman does a lot of sharp cuts. Dez Bryant really isn't that type of receiver. He's more of a slant, deep threat type of receiver. Edelman's going to rely on cutting a lot. So that bye is more crucial to him. That's one more week that he doesn't need to be on the field. That's one more week that he can get back into shape and kind of because a lot of it's mental coming back from an injury. It really is, especially for a guy that relies on cuts that much.
Not only that, but the Patriots' bye week was in week 4, so they haven't had a true bye week since the first week of October. And you're going to talk about you play straight through middle of October all the way through January into February. I mean, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. They got to figure it out. I mean, I'm starting to panic. It's not looking good. I can say that much. But one game at a time. Do your job. I'm sure they'll right the ship. They got to try to establish a run game. They have to be more conservative. They did it in the against Indianapolis, the onside kick. I don't care if it works. It's just when you're up 14-0, you kick it away. Even with the play, we can't expect Jamie Collins to make a strip of was it Darren Sproles who fumbled? I think it might have been
Bonner, Kenyon Bonner.
Yeah, it was. I believe it was. Yeah. And that's weird that he's getting snaps in that position and not DeMarco Murray.
Yep.
But the point of that is you gotta blast it. You gotta try to stop them. You got your money in the front seven. You know that they're gonna come and try to make a stop. You got to trust your defense, and one first down, it's like they're in field goal range. So that Brady last comeback wouldn't have even been possible if they kicked a field goal. It's 2 possessions. Now you're down 10 with the minute, no timeouts. So that I don't agree with that call. You gotta trust the defense.
I think he trusted the defense. Not only that, I think he trusted the defense enough to, if they didn't get it, that they would be able to get the stop, get the ball back, and then potentially go up 3 scores in the first half. And not only that, but right after the Eagles recovered that onside kick, the Patriots had them 3rd and 10, and Patrick Chung complete blown coverage. They stop that play, the Patriots get the ball back, they go down and score again. We'd probably be talking about it.
Was that the play to Brent Selleck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Huge play, gashing play, but for the most part, I think Pat Chung has filled in great this year as a cornerback and someone who's usually a safety, regular position spot as a safety. But yeah, I don't think there's really very few bright spots from this game to pick out.
No.
Brady turning the ball over twice. I guess you could say one wasn't his fault.
I would say, that looked like some miscommunication on that
with the LaFell.
Yeah,
it looked like maybe it was a wide receiver option route or something that he just misread but still that forcing it with Amendola in the red zone. He's got 6 interceptions on the year now. I want to say 4 of them have come in the red zone, which is uncharacteristic for a Tom Brady led team, for a Tom Brady as a quarterback.
I agree. Well, that does it for this week. Patriots lose their first game, 35-28 to the Eagles. Lose their first game at home, 35-28 to the Eagles.
In second consecutive. That's rough.
In December, after Thanksgiving, when the Patriots supposed to be cranking it up, but they've dropped 2 in a row here. Must win coming up. Tough game in Houston in a hostile environment for a nasty defense that likes to get after the quarterback. And the Patriots probably couldn't stop you and me from getting after Tom Brady if we really tried. I mean, their offensive line is horrible right now, but you can be sure that
I'd hit him with that power. I'd power rush.
Yeah.
I'd get right up the middle.
I'd probably Jamie Collins jump over the center and try to, you take him out.
First of many, I think. At least for the rest of the football season, stay tuned. And also, Suffolk Overtime, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 to 6 p.m. Suffolk Free Radio on Mixler. Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, Suffolk Overtime. I think it went well, Mac. Let's do it again.
Hopefully next week we're in a better mood. Because I really don't feel like staying up late next week for them to lose a 3rd game in a row. Then my holidays are ruined all the way.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and be sure to follow us on Twitter.
We're out at Suffolk Overtime.